So, you guys have read the title of the video, so I don't need to explain anything like that. However, the reason why I'm doing this is because I lost a bet with Nagzz. As part of the bet, it was to do, of course, this lesson, so yeah, here we go. Just as a disclaimer though, I don't have any qualifications in Japanese or teaching or anything. So this is just me because this is just what I've learnt and how I think of things from my 7 or 8 years of casually learning Japanese on the side. I am actually going to be going for a JLPT test, hopefully next year. I'm aiming to get like the N3 level, which is about mid-level because it's from 5 to 1, 1 being the most proficient Japanese level in these tests. So that's what I'm aiming for. So just to let you know, that's where I am at this present moment in time. Anyway, let's just get on with it. So to start off with, because of how often Nagzz absolutely butchers Japanese names in general, I thought I'd start with how you actually pronounce words in a very basic and simplistic way, and hence why you can see all the Japanese letters in front of me, which I shall just explain right now. So this side, around here, I was going to draw an arrow, I just drew a line, is hiragana. And then this side is katakana. Both of these letter systems make the exact same sounds. There's no difference in that way. However, the main difference is that with katakana, it's used mostly for foreign words. For example, fight. Don't know any foreign word really that they want to use in their language. They would normally use katakana symbols to represent them. And I do bring up fight because they do say fight in Japanese quite a lot. In fact, you probably have seen it in a few animes and so on and so forth. So that's that. But I'm just going to focus on the sounds they make for now. So the top here, you'll see that all the vowels have got one Roman letter underneath them. So that is A, I, U, E, O. Now, of course, paying particular attention to this E sound because it doesn't make the same sound as it would in English. After all, we say I or I, and that's completely wrong. It's actually closer to the sound of us pronouncing capital E, so it's E, or rather, lowercase e. So, saying it again, A, I, U, E. Sorry, I did get it right. Brain fart. So, A, I, U, E, O. The only other Japanese letter that is represented by one Romanji, or Roman letter, is N, just at the end. Which leads me to my first example. Now this is Megumin. I'm pretty sure that Nagzz has come across this character several times and is aware of who she is. But it's also just a random Japanese name, which, well, completely random, but a Japanese name which I know that he probably have butchered in the past. So, in English, we would, generally speaking, divide the word, sorry, not like that, divide the word differently to Japanese with the symbols. For example, with Japanese, I wish I could draw properly. Okay, my mouse is just messing around there. There we go. With Japanese, you split it as so. So you're pronouncing all these parts differently. So it's megumin, n, that n at the end. Whereas in English, we would say megumin. So we would pronounce it me, and sort of borrow the G for the next bit, and do that. So it's megumin in English, but megumin in Japanese, because we separate it differently. Understood? Another thing that you may well have noticed, or hopefully, because I've forgotten to mention it, with these symbols and why I've separated the word as such in Japanese, so I'll just put the Japanese separation there. It comes down to this lettering system. So as you can see, everything below the vowels is displayed by 2 or 3 Roman letters. So from this one is ka, ki, ku, ke, ko. Now this is also very important because if you get to, just mention this to bit as well. Oops. So if you go to the word fight, for example, most English we say it in one big slap, so it's just fight, and then we've got a nice T sound at the end, don't we? However, in Japanese, they say it with 2 syllables, so it's fai to. Separating those two. And you see how those two are represented by the 2 Roman letters in the name. Which of course you can see everywhere you look, it's always 2 or 3 letters. In fact, faito would actually be represented like this in Japanese. Let me just get rid of this stuff. So that would be how you write fight in Japanese. Notice how I've used the katakana symbols for FE, which you can barely see just down there. I'll zoom in. So the 2 symbols there being the for the fi, and then the to right here. Because of course it's a foreign word, it represents like that. Also, I'm terrible writing, so this to should actually probably be, oops, quite a lot bigger rather than size to represent, because that's supposed to be a small I. Anyway, I'm blabbing now. So there we go. So hopefully that'll help you pronounce the words better. After all, it is very important that you do just sort of remember that Japanese words don't use the same, aren't the same, they're not pronounced even close to the same in English because of this writing system, because each one of their sounds is represented by 2 Roman letters. And hopefully that will help you. So I'll just go through, you can skip ahead of course, but I will just go through the sounds that these symbols make and stuff like that, so you can practice along with me, and hopefully I won't fumble them up. So starting from the very top, a, I, U, E, O, ka, ki, ku, ke, ko, sa, shi, su, se, so, ta, chi, tsu, te, to, n, ni, nu, ne, no. I'm trying to scroll my mouse wheel, it's zooming out instead. Ha, hi, hu, he, ho, ma, mi, mu, me, mo, ya, yu, yo, ra, ri, ru, re, lo, wa. I'll just stop here because you may have noticed something very different. In fact, you probably did with the way I pronounced the ra, ri, ru, re, ro line. Because you need to curl your tongue at this point. So that's ra, ri, ru, re, ro. And a brief description of how you do that is if I can actually draw this, and this will be a big challenge. So this is the roof of your mouth, right? And you'll notice that there's a little slope around here. So your teeth are here, and then there's a little slope going to the back of your mouth, and then you've got your gullet and stuff back here, which feels a bit soft and weird. Oh, you can't even see that, it's off screen. There we go. So what you want to do to make that sound with your tongue is just tip it to the top there. Sorry, it's accurate. Just put it up there and then just breathe air through it. There you go. So you just breathe your air through your tongue and it should make a nice ra sound while speaking. So again, that's just the slope that goes like up. I'm sure you'll be able to find it with your tongue and know what I mean. Right. And of course, using that technique, we can say the word hiragana properly. So it's hiragana, hiragana. So as you notice, it's hiragana. It's also important with Japanese to lengthen the A's at the end of most of the making sounds. So, ya, ma, wa, and ha. Wa is a bit different. But as you can see, it lasts a bit longer, doesn't it? It's not like us, we'd say ma. Our A's are like that length, whereas there's ma. They've really pronounced the A there. So that's also important. Hence why it's hiragana. In fact, actually, that's pretty much for all of them. The vowels in all of them are pretty much pronounced a bit longer. So nu, ne, no. You can hear me pronouncing the or, the vowel, a lot longer than you would in English. So because that one would just be ni, ne, ne, no. So that's another difference. It's lengthen the end of the symbol, the end of that two letters, to make it sound right. So it's megumin. There you go. That's how to basically pronounce things. I'll just zoom in on this bit. You'll also notice that there are quite a lot of three-letter words where there's a smaller symbol afterwards. Oh yes, and this ja, ju, je, jo. There also sounds. So I can't believe I'm saying this one, but nya, nya. Now I know from Nekopara and all those, you know how to say nya. And you know that it's very different to the way that we would say it, because we would just say nya. But it's nya, nya, nya. Again, it's the vowels at the end are always longer than English, so you just spend a tiny bit more time pronouncing those bits, and you'll get it right. And if you're wondering, I did kind of come up with that comparison on the fly. So there you go. That is how to pronounce things in Japanese correctly. I'll also say something as well, because something I almost forgot. Again, it's to do with the vowels at the end. But when you say the three letters, so you say tai, for example. So that would be, let's scroll down and write it out. So if you're saying tai, or for example K, which letters I can't seem to remember off the top of my head, which is terrible. You can see how well my learning's going. K. Now, when Nagzz having introduced K-chan to Nagzz, he managed to butcher the name, and he pronounced it in the very British, very English way of saying key. It's not key in Japanese. It's really not key. It's K. And it's the same sort of thing as I was saying before. You've got to lengthen the vowels at the end. And again, with the same with Tai. So with us, actually no, we pretty much say Tai as well. Do we? Tai, yeah. No, I guess we don't. Tai, it does say, so T-A-I. It sounds more like T-E-I. Yeah. Tai, you know, the thing that you put around your neck when you go into business meetings. I'm going to leave these mistakes in, because show you all my mistakes. So yeah, T-A-I is spelled like T. It sounds the same as T-I-E in English. So Tai in English is the right pronunciation for T-A-I in Japanese. Again, the same with this one. Instead of ki, it's ke. So the I and the E at the end make a different sound. They're different. So ke-chan. Ke, not ki-chan. Remember that for next time. And there you have it. So yes, that's how you pronounce all these words. There we go. So these are things that you may well see and hear. Zoom in a bit more. 150. See and hear in your favorite Japanese animes, your favorite Japanese streamers. Just a few words around here which may well be useful. Especially for those who I have just made a mistake. I've just realized I spelled things wrong. Things that you might hear in your thing in these streams and stuff, which again makes sense. And then of course, if you do ever go to Japan and have a look around, these are some fairly useful phrases that might help you out. So first of all, it's sumimasen. This is incredibly important, especially if you're visiting. No matter what, if somebody comes up to you and says something, if they look angry, always say sumimasen. If you don't really understand what they're saying, sumimasen. If you don't know what's going on, sumimasen. Anything. Pretty much anything. You can just sumimasen yourself out of any situation. It's a polite way of just saying sorry or excuse me, things like that. So it's a good one to remember. And of course, I've got it written down in hiragana for you. Next one is gomen or gomenasai. Now this is slightly less formal because of course Japanese, I say of course, because Japanese has this system called keigo. And keigo is a very polite, very respectful way of speaking. So for example, if you look back into the past in these like history dramas where you see somebody talking to, say, like a king, and they're supposed to be like a noble, and they're talking really, really respectfully and using all these like long words and being very precise about the information that they're giving to the characters. That's essentially what keigo is. However, there are different levels of keigo. I think there's 3 levels. I can't remember the names of them, so forgive me for that. But there are levels, for example, what you'd say to like a king of some sort. You would have to give them utmost respect. The sort of keigo you'd use for your boss as well, or like teachers, somebody who's in charge of you. And then of course you got the keigo for, which is slightly less, it's like drop down for like maybe older people, somebody's not in charge of you but more important than you in so and so in more important than you in it's more important than you in the commas. Yeah. You know what I mean? We got a more important job, somebody that you would look up to. So like a police officer or that sort of thing. Moving on. So we also got arigato, which is thank you. I'm sure you've seen that one before. Kawaii, cute. Now this is a combination of 2 things. So I've left the kanji in there. So when you want something, say you've got a menu in front of you, or even just a selection of pastries or fried chicken, whatever. But you don't know what the word is for the fried chicken. By the way, it's karaage. Or whatever it is, food, or whatever it is that you want that's in front of you. You don't know how to say it in Japanese. Then an easy trick that you can do is you can say kore onegai shimasu, which basically just means this, please. Normally when you're pointing at something, so you point at the object in the menu or so on and so forth. And then you've also got sore onegai shimasu. So that one would be for something that's like out of reach. So something that's like a little bit over there. Whereas kore is one that's close to you, that's in reach, as far as I understand it. And that is that, please. Of course, chat will love this one. Oppai. That's how you write it. We've also got mune, which it means chest, but it can also mean oppai. It can also kind of mean feelings as well, or heart, although heart is actually kokoro, which is like feelings, like when you're really kokoro kamete means that you've put all your heart into something. So that same sort of meaning in the heart. Of course, we've gone back and said onegaishimasu, so that is please. Again, chat will love this. Ketsu. It's butt. It's ass. Oshiri, which is also ass, but slightly more polite. Futomomo, which I think you've learnt before as well, being thighs. Kohi, because I know that you like your coffee. Now, I'll just notice out this one as well. This is actually written in katakana. And that's, of course, because it's a foreign word. And it is coffee. It is just them saying coffee, but they don't make the same sort of sound. So it's kohi instead, which will be important if you go. Oh my. Now, that's you, but rude. You'll only hear it if you... Very casual, very casual. Pretty rude to say oh my now, kind of thing. Normally used after like jokes or yeah, basically. So I'll go through the more polite ones. So that's kimi, which is again, it's more polite. It's still pretty casual, but it's more polite. Then there's anata, which is polite. Note that this one as well, anata will be used when you're talking to like your husband or your girlfriend. So instead of saying their name, you'd say, "Oh, anata." There we go. But this is also very important, especially when spelling it, is not to say anta. Anta is very rude. Very rude. Worse than oh my. Anta ne. Something you would only hear if somebody's actually pretty angry with you. And yeah, you don't want to use that at all. Don't use that. Now, tachi. Tachi is you collectively. So, for example, if Nagzz was talking to chat, you'd probably say omae tachi, because it's kind of on that sort of casual, loose end of speaking. It's not rude as such. It would be rude if you used it to somebody you weren't familiar with. But it's very casual, so yeah, you definitely wouldn't use that to like your boss or something. Oh no. All right. This is also another important few words which you guys probably want to know. So haishin. Now originally this actually meant delivery. So if you're waiting for a delivery, you'll be waiting for a haishin. And then of course there's also the person that would be delivering things would be a haishinsha. But nowadays it also means stream or streamer. So stream would be haishin, and then of course the streamer would be haishinsha. So Nagzz is a haishinsha. So how I would describe Nagzz to somebody is Watashi Nagzz wa watashi no suki na haishinsha desu. There you go. I'll let you work out what I said there. I think, yeah, I do actually have all the words in this list, so you can work out what I said. This will also be important if you go to there. It's densha, which is train. Interestingly enough, the kanji here actually means electrical, like car or chariot, because that on its own is kuruma. On its own is den. In fact, it's never really on its own. So it's literally an electric car. So computer is written in katakana again, like you could notice, but it's not computer. It actually says pasokon, because it's actually personal computer, so it's pasokon. Now, if you are like me and love your singing VTubers, love your singers in general, to sing would be utaeru, and then a singer would be a cashew? No, cashew is lyrics. Actually, and they might be the same. But either way, uta, which also means song. So that's another one to find. In fact, actually, another thing that you might want to look out for with your Oshis when you're watching your VTubers would be utawaku, which is a singing stream, essentially. There you go. Kyoku is song, but it's more like Like if uta was somebody like just playing the guitar and singing, then a kyoku would be a full band. If you see what I mean. It's very very minor. It's kind of a weird difference. It's sort of like they both mean the same thing. It's just kyoku, to me at least. It's like the whole band is there. Like there's a whole ensemble. Lots of work has gone into it. Whereas Nuta could be just a kid singing on the street about, I don't know, Minecraft. Hine. Hine is very, very rude. It's one of the very few words in Japanese, in fact, one of the only two words that you could potentially use as like a swear word. But at the same time, is it rude? Is it not? It always depends on context, really does. Also, yes, in Roman things, it does kind of look like shine. It's not shine, it's hine. Because, of course, you separate the shi, the three letters, and then ne. You gotta remember that. You also have shinu, which also means the same thing. It is literally just die. Shinu is to die, shine is go die. Along those lines, things that you've already picked up are probably kusa, which is literally grass. And it's also said when something's funny. I think that actually comes from the next word being kuso. It's like a more polite way of doing that because kuso is, well, I mean, shit. It's a swear word. It is the only swear word that I know of, which is definitely a swear word. Again, it can be used a lot in the way, yeah, a lot, pretty much in the same way you could use the word fuck, kuso. It's a very, very similar word. In the way you say kuso moshiroi would mean it's fucking hilarious. But normally people would, instead of saying kuso, they'd say kusa moshiroi. And I think that's where kusa comes from. I'm not sure. I'm making this up. On that lines, unko. Yeah, poo. It's a polite way of saying, yeah, it's poo. It's just poo. Doga. Video. So any video you watch, something you would watch on YouTube, stuff like that, that's a doga. Eiga. And that's a film. Why is it different? Because it's got this in the beginning, which is actually art. So I guess that's something to remember. And of course, that also made me remind me of my own country. So eigo is English. And eikoku is England. You can also say England as Igiris, which I haven't actually written down there. I don't know why you can also say it both ways, but there you go. Also, interesting thing about this piece of kanji here, it actually means like really good, something that's good and like inventive. So when Japan was opening up and they were finding about all these different countries across the world, with England being such a huge influence at the time, with all the invention of the trains, so on and so forth. I think that's why they use such a nice kanji to represent it. just let my British side shine through. Yeah, so we got to the next one, which is which is good. So if something is good, say you watched a good film, it would be eiga desu. There you go. Then there is genki, which is I am good, I'm well, I'm fine. You can also use it as a question. So instead of just saying genki, you say genki ka, which literally means how are you? And I love it when languages do that. Just make it nice and simple. Genki ka, genki. Yeah, good. Happy. Now this is to go on a journey or a trip. Shigoto. So that is work. There we have another phrase which I'm going to get to. Yeah. And this one again would be useful if you travel. to Japan. So it would be sumimasen, eigo de onegai shimasu. So that would basically be sorry, please, in English. Literal translation is sorry, English, please, kind of thing. They will understand what you mean. It was just like, oh, you don't speak Japanese, essentially. However, most of the time, Japanese people will probably approach you and try and speak English, unless you approach them first and start speaking Japanese. It's just one of those things. I think you get that around the world, really, apart from like in English-speaking countries, in which case we just expect the person to know English. Which is kind of rude, to be honest. Anyway, again, another useful tour is kanko. So that is to be a tourist, to go somewhere as a tourist. So you might have a conversation on a plane or something with a Japanese person. Might say, "Oh, kanko desu ka?" which means, "Oh, are you I was about to say terrorist. Are you a tourist?" Or again, they might also say something along the lines of, "Nihon ni kitan no ryu wa shigoto desu ka? Soretomo kankou desu ka?" which is the reason why you've is they're asking for the reason why you've come to Japan, whether it's work or tourism. Probably butchered that sentence though. I'm not entirely sure if I got it right. Watashi, everyone knows that, it means I. However, there is two other ways you can say I. In fact, actually three the ways you can say I, but I forgot the last one to put it on there anyway. So there's boku, which is mostly used by males. It's still light. For some reason, men use it, and it's not a very feminine word to use. Most women would use watashi or atashi. Atashi is like kind of like noble-ish sort of. I'm a posh person kind of speak. Put simply. And then you also have ore. Now, ore is a little bit arrogant. It's like, or I think I'm great kind of way of saying it. Again, I don't think, as a foreigner, if you go over there and you're using either boku or ore or watashi, I don't think any Japanese person's really going to be like, bothered about it. They might correct you and say, oh no, you need to say watashi, or oh no, you need to say boku. It's boku you need to say, kind of thing. But yeah, I don't think it will be a big a deal, but it does come across as a little bit arrogant, apparently. Now, this is which is art. Oh yeah, you guys love this. So desu ne. Yes, that is right. Yeah, I agree. Yes, that's true. That sort of meaning. So desu ne. So it's just an agreement as, yeah, that's right. That's what you need to know about that. That's why he says so desu ne all the time. Which leads me to the next one. Desu. It is. Everyone hears desu all the time. And then, of course, if you want to turn that into a question, is it? It would be desu ka. Just adding the ka at the end always makes something a question. Almost always. I think pretty much always. Yeah. So if you're not sure, ka at the end and you can ask it. But the same way in English, how we, ask questions, you notice that our voice goes up. So it's used, is it? Always you have that little pitch up at the end. It is, right? That's how we say questions. You can do that in Japanese as well. The same message comes along. But if you want to be absolutely sure that you're trying to ask a question, put ka at the end. Yubi means finger. We already know that. Thank you, Korene. Yubi wa, ring. That's a ring. The ring that you put on your finger, not just a ring. Itsuka. So that's at some point. At some point, so Itsuka. So, at some point I want to visit Japan. That would be Itsuka Nihon ni ikitai. And then you'll probably have noticed a little bit of editing here because I forgot to black out this bit. However, bit of a challenge for you, Nagzz, if you're watching this on stream. It should be a bit of fun. So I would love for you to this is Chad Mum, so you can say Chad Mum as you normally would. But I would love for you to say this. Of course, the kanji is next to it, so give it a try. So hopefully you paused the video, because I don't know when to come in, but I left a good pause there anyway. You probably got it wrong, but I'll be Faith Gang. You did good. You did good. Now I'll give you another chance to using the languages, the words I've given you, to work out what that could mean. Again, I hope you paused. I gave you a good pause in between, but you need more than that. Essentially, it means this. Just clear there. There we go. So what you just said is, one day I want to give Chad Mum a ring. Sorry, I kind of trapped you there, but there you go. And this is how you actually say it. Itsuka Chad Mum o yubiwa, no, Chad Mum ni yubiwa o agetai. It doesn't mean this, like, it's not. Would it be the same sort of precedence in Japanese? I'm not entirely sure. Probably, maybe, the big maybe. Right. Moving on. So, jozu is to be good at something. Totemo is very. Mecha, which is very, but it's very casual. You'll hear a lot of the gals say that, the gal girls. Very, very casual. Daisuki, love it. Ski, like. Mizu, water. So that's again another important one if you're traveling here. Mizu. Again, remember to lengthen out vowels at the end of those words. Dame, it's no good. Don't do it. Don't stop. No, negative sort of thing. Dame. Another one that chat will love. Netorare. NTR. Yeah. Oshikko. Yeah. Well, I've written it there. It appears. Hawaii. Now, this is also important to pronounce the core. Pronounce the core bit much louder than kawaii, because of course kawaii means cute and kawaii means scary. So very, very different. So you don't want to call that girl you kind of think is pretty cute and stuff like that kawaii, because that will probably piss her off. And then the same opposite, you don't really want to call the scary bloke coming towards you kawaii, because he might get the wrong idea and blush, which might lead you to cry. Hence the next word, naite. Naite or naku is the kawaii. Now you're the shouty man, Nagzz, so I thought this would be a good word for you. Sakebu, to shout. Oki, meaning big. You can also say to shout as being oki or oki koe o dasu, or dashita. Dashita being the past tense. Or, but generally speaking, or but before a word means that it's big. So it's or mono means it's a big thing, or it means an important thing. However, the kanji sound, which is one of the reasons why kanji is such a pain, changes. For example, it'll be or in front of or mono, but it becomes dai in front of things like daisuki. Excuse me. Very annoying, isn't it? And you just got to know what it is. Unfortunately, it just takes lots of study. But you're probably better off going with dai rather than or. Anyway, moving on. Irashai, 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 or irashaimase. Welcome. A lot. This is also a difficult one. Reason why I added them both in is because they're the exact same word, and the Japanese people just hate us. Sake, meaning alcohol, and sake, meaning salmon. Very subtle difference between these two words. Sake and shake. It's more of a sha, but it's not quite a sha. It's shake. It's really, really weird and annoying to say, but you can get it right if you really, really try. Kintama, balls. Balls. Funny, eh? Chisai, being small. So, Nagzz wa chisai hito desu ne. To those who know exactly what I just said, you're welcome. And again, you'll notice some editing there, where I forgot to cover up another small challenge for you, being to say this phrase. And hopefully you paused it. You probably butchered it. I'll give you a bit of time to guess what it could mean. Of course, chat can help you out there. And yeah, I'm sorry, I'm doing you one on this, even though this is supposed to be some sort of reward. I really am. Anyway. Yeah, so as chat probably told you, this means my nose is the strongest or the biggest in the world. Watashi no hana wa sekai ni saikyou ni ookii. It's not the strongest, sorry. So that literally means my nose in watashi no hana wa is world, sekai in strongest, big. That's what it word for word being translated. So yeah, my nose is the biggest in the world, or the largest size, the strongest size. Hage, bald. It's also used as an insult. A lot of kids say it. It's not really a big insult, but it's an insult. Of course, hageteru, something that Nagzz is doing, is going bald. Like myself, I am mostly bald. So I can see these things, it's fine. You see, anybody in chat with a full head of hair, not fair, not fair. So you'll also notice that I added this teiru. So that is happening, basically. So if you put a word, say, taberu, that means to eat, so tabe. If you put teiru afterwards, so tabeteru, means you are eating, or eating, essentially. Nice little fact there. Ongaku, the thing that Nagzz likes to avoid. I love this kanji combination, by the way, because it literally means noise fun. Noise fun is music. How awesome is that for the kanji combination there? Brilliant, isn't it? Tanoshi. As you notice, it's in the music part. Literally means fun. Sekai, as just explained, is the world. Uchu, space, universe. Ataeru is to give. Moraeru, to receive. I've put so many in here. Motteiru is to have. Shoganai. Some of you guys know that from that Kali song. Shoganai, not shioganai. Shoganai. 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 Because it's the OU. Shoganai. Can't be helped. Definitely didn't edit that there. Another useful term that maybe you may want to use when going to Japan is seki wa aiteimasu ka? Is this seat free? And again, another very useful one. Sumimasen, toire wa doko desu ka? See, toilet again, it's katakana, but it's not the same as English. It's toire. So toire. So try and make an L sound at the end of it, like toilet. And so toilet is toilet. So you miss out the T at the end. Toilet. Doko, meaning where. Maigo, something that Nagzz always is. Lost. Uresai, annoying, loud. You probably also counted this before. Hime is to scream. Or himeku. Well, himeku is to scream. Hime is scream. Notice how I say it. I don't say hime, because hime is princess. It's hime. Good. lengthen out because it's got an I at the end. Iro being color. Netchusho. I couldn't find the kanji for this or the words. I completely forgot to do that. Sorry. That's basically just heat stroke. Something to watch out for in summer. Maybe edit it. Add it in editing. Warao is to smile or laugh. You'll often find that in Japanese streams, when somebody's laughing, they'll just put a W, and it's literally to say warao. So it's just shortening it. That's what the W means. Hanno is to react. Daijoubu is it's okay or okay. Or are you okay? Daijoubu desu ka? Koko being here. Wakaranai is to not understand. Hiranai is not to know. So Nihongo wakaranai is I don't understand Japanese. And then of course if you asked when Nagzz will start or how late he will be, you would say shiranai, because you don't know. En being their currency, that's their actual symbol for the currency, that's the kanji for the currency. I don't know why they're two different things, but there you go, it's en. Yen. We say yen, they say yen. So you're at the shop, you'll say yaku en ni narimasu. Something along those lines. Hyaku is a really difficult word to say. I apologize for butchering it. 100 yenになります。おいたしまして。You're welcome. になります being that will be. 誰 who. から from. So you can say 私がアメリカから来ました。Which means I've come from America. Scroll past that bit. Now I'll just show you this quickly. Again, this is the very end of the video because this has already gone way too long. For me, and the way that I look upon language in general is if you're learning a language, especially a very new one, especially a very different one like Japanese, I really recommend identifying and working out how the grammar works first. After all, once you've worked out how the grammar works, you can build up upon that. So you can build up all your knowledge from your words and stuff, and then you can work out how to build a sentence because you already know the grammar, you already know what those connective words will mean and where they should be. It's, for language, it's literally the most important bit. Like, you can go to, like, imagine how many times you guys, I know most of us are English speaking, so imagine how many times somebody's come up to you in foreign language you don't know, and they've just said words and they've tried with their body language, but it's been really difficult to work out what they actually mean because their pronunciation is, you know, it's not great. They've got a really thick accent, and potentially they don't even know, you know, even how to say it. However, how much easier it would be if they knew the order in which they need to say the words. It's just one of these things, just connect and helps you connect. So if I was you, and if you're trying to learn Japanese, for example, I've left a load of particles here, by the way. I'd focus on that first and get that down. In fact, there is a lovely website which I shall post in the description of this video, and also give you a quick example of being this one, which you can't see all of because of the way my screen is cut on. But it's Tai Kim's Guide to Learning Japanese. I'm sure if you write that into Google, you'll probably find it. This has been great for learning grammar. Really, really great. So I do recommend you check it out. Of course, there's a book as well. You don't have to buy the book. It's free, it's online. Don't worry about it. So I recommend you go there. There are also some other tools which I personally used to learn as well. One of them being italki, which is a website which you can use to talk to other language learners. So if somebody might want to speak English and they might, and you might want to be trying to learn their language, and then you become like a language exchange style deal. That's the idea of that website. There's also another app which does the same thing called Hello Talk. Again, I've used that as well. It used to be better than it is now. I don't actually recommend it anymore. And we've also got Anki, which is sort of like just a memory card application for your phone. And literally, unironically, there is an app also on the App Store which you can find called Kanji Study, which has been pretty useful for me learning down some of the kanji. And of course, Duolingo is always useful. So there's many, many tools. I really do recommend you look around and yeah, just give it a go. And of course, the best way to learn a language is to just speak it. Just go head first into it. Live in Japan for a bit, and that would you'd pick up language real fast if it's forced in your face like that. Watch these Japanese streams, even with the subtitles on. It can help. It won't be as good with the subtitles on, but eventually you'll start picking things up, which is exactly how I started, by the way, with anime. Anyway, I've spoken too long, so I hope you've enjoyed this. Yeah, bye.